Hello there, you're watching All 24 News live from Algiers with me, Karim Fazakari, World News Program. These are your top stories. Moscow signaled it was scaling back its ambitions in Ukraine to focus on territory claimed by Russian-backed separatists as Ukrainian forces went on the offensives. Mariupol City Council said about 300 people are believed to have died after shelling on a theater in the city 9 days ago. U.S. President Joe Biden is in Warsaw on Saturday for meetings with Polish and Ukrainian government officials, followed by an address underlining the global response to Russia's operation in Ukraine. Those were today's headlines. Let's start first with some live updates. Starting with the latest updates about the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia says it is now focused on fully capturing Donbass in a apparent shift in strategy. Ukraine says 7,331 people were evacuated from cities on Friday. UN nuclear watchdog claims staff members at Chernobyl's radioactive waste facilities have not been rotated in 4 days. President Vladimir Putin accuses West of trying to cancel Russian culture. And French President Emmanuel Macron is to hold talks with Russia's Putin over Mariupol evacuation initiative. Ukraine's president made a video appearance at Qatar's Doha Forum, calling on the energy-rich nation and others to boost their production to counteract the loss of Russian energy supplies. Volodymyr Zelensky called on the United Nations and world powers to come to his aid, as he has in a series of other addresses given around the world since the start of the Russian military operation on February 24th. He compared Russia's destruction of the port city of Mariupol to the Syrian and Russian destruction wrought on the city of Aleppo in the Syrian war.
When European countries refuse to purchase Russian oil and gas, it's a matter of time. Responsible states, in particular the state of Qatar, are reliable and solid supplies of energy resources and can contribute to the stabilization of the situation in Europe, can do a lot to restore justice.
Moscow signaled it was scaling back its ambitions in Ukraine to focus on territory claimed by Russian-backed separatists as Ukrainian forces went on the offensive, recapturing towns on the outskirts of the capital, Kiev. Russian Ministry of Defense said on Friday that, in general, the main tasks of the first stage of their special military operation have been completed. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said resistance from Ukrainian forces has dealt powerful blows to Russia.
Overall, the main objectives of the first phase of the operation have been completed. The combat capabilities of the Ukrainian forces have been significantly reduced, which will allow, I stress again, to concentrate the bulk of efforts on achieving the main objective, the liberation of the Donbass.
Kharkiv in eastern Ukraine has been subjected to sustained bombardment and vast destruction since the start of the Russian military operation. According to Kharkiv Oblast Governor Ola Senyabov, Russia attacked the Kharkiv airport using multiple launch rocket systems. Russia also attacked the city with Grad and Oregon missile launch systems. In total, Kharkiv region has endured 55 attacks on March 24th. Bombardment continued with no stop on Friday in the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv. 4 people were reported dead in an attack on the city's medical center. The World Health Organization says targeting health facilities in Ukraine is increasing on a daily basis. Nabil Khazini has more insights.
For anyone who sees these images, it is obvious that a disaster has occurred in the city. On the debris, although there is little hope, rescue workers determined to find any survivor. Mikola, a local resident, inspects the holes in his garage. I think it may have been a cluster bomb that went off, he says. In the eastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, residents flee their burnt homes as firefighters battle a blaze that was sparked by a bombardment that reportedly hit a gas pipe.
That's all we managed to take with us, some documents and the dog. We're afraid to go back inside. When it all burns down, where will we go? I have no relatives to go to.
According to local authorities, the shelling killed at least 4 people on Friday. The mayor of Kharkiv, in eastern Ukraine, denounced the bombardments in his city.
The situation is very difficult due to the incessant shelling on Kharkiv. The shelling is hitting different neighborhoods, and civilians are being killed. Residential areas are being hit, and there is no safe place in Kharkiv.
Wounded soldiers are being treated in this hospital. Healthcare facilities are also a target. The World Health Organization says there have been more than 70 separate attacks on hospitals, ambulances and doctors in Ukraine.
The crew at our department hasn't been home since the first day of war. Since 24 February, we are living here at the hospital. We are treating all patients who got injured as a result of combat actions.
Moscow denies targeting civilians and says its military operation in Ukraine aims at demilitarizing Russia's neighboring country.
Mariupol City Council said about 300 people are believed to have died after shelling on a theater in the city 9 days ago. The incident occurred on March 16th, and for days, the government in the battered port city was unable to give a casualty count. The Ukrainian Parliament's Human Rights Commissioner said more than 1,300 people had been inside the theater, many whose homes were destroyed. President Joe Biden has paid a visit to U.S. troops stationed near Poland's border with Ukraine. He visited a dining facility made for the troops. He also witnessed firsthand the humanitarian energies to the Ukrainian refugees fleeing the conflict in their homeland. Islam said.
U.S. President Joe Biden landed in Rzeszów, Poland on Friday, nearly 80 kilometers from the border with Ukraine, to get a personal look at the international efforts to support millions of Ukrainian refugees fleeing conflict in their country, and speak to the American troops reinforcing NATO's eastern flank, for a highly anticipated 2-day visit to the NATO member country that sees refugees fleeing the war. Joe Biden's Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin met with the U.S. troops deployed in Rzeszów, Poland, where he told members of the U.S. Army's 82nd Airborne Division that they were in the heart of a fight between democracy and autocracy.
Ukrainian people have a lot of backbone. They have a lot of guts, and I'm sure you're observing it. And I don't mean just the military, which is we've been trained in since back when Russia moved into in the southeast Ukraine. So structures. And the question is, who's going to prevail? Are democracies going to prevail and the values we share, or autocracy is going to prevail? And that's really what's at stake. So what you're doing is consequential, really consequential.
Who have joined us.
He left the Polish city of Rzeszów to visit the capital, Warsaw, where he has been expected to meet with Polish leaders and visit a refugee reception center. Joe Biden has promised to help contain the migrant crisis along the Polish borders with Ukraine. However, he said he won't make the no-fly zone doable. It's worth noting that up to 3 million people have been displaced from Ukraine, and at least 2 million people have fled to Poland since the start of the month-old crisis.
Still with Joe Biden, who is in Warsaw on Saturday for meetings with Polish and Ukrainian government officials, followed by an address underlining the global response to Russia's operation in Ukraine. The White House has said Biden's address will deliver remarks on the united efforts of the free world to support the people of Ukraine, hold Russia accountable for its brutal operation, and defend a future that is rooted in democratic principles. French President Emmanuel Macron said Friday Paris was working with Turkey and Greece on a humanitarian operation to evacuate people from the devastated Ukrainian city of Mariupol. The French leader also said he'll have a new discussion with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin within the next 48 to 72 hours to work out the details and secure the evacuation's modalities.
Nous allons, en lien avec la Turquie et avec la Grèce,
We are going to work with Turkey and Greece to launch a humanitarian operation to evacuate all those who wish to leave Mariupol. There was a concrete discussion today with the mayor of Mariupol. We are coordinating and we will organize things in the best possible conditions.
nous organiserons les choses dans les meilleures conditions possibles.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has accused the West of attempting to cancel a 1,000-year-old culture and the people of Russia themselves. The Russian leader condemned on Friday what he called the cancellation culture in an online meeting with his officials in the cultural and art sectors. Miriam Zian has more details in this report.
During a meeting with the young winners of the Presidential Prize for Literature and Art, Kremlin leader Vladimir Putin said Russia was a victim of the policy of suppressing Russian culture in the West and compared it to what happened during Nazi Germany.
They are erasing concert composers, Tchaikovsky, Shostakovich, Rachmaninoff, banning Russian writers and their books. The last time it was the Nazis in Germany, almost 90 years ago, who carried out such a campaign to destroy an undesirable culture.
Putin argued that today the West is trying to suppress a whole millennial country.
Today they are trying to cancel a 1,000-year-old country. I am talking about the progressive discrimination against everything related to Russia. This cancel culture is developing in a number of Western countries.
Russian president also criticized Japan, which remains silent over U.S. responsibility for dropping atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki when it remembers the victims. Since Russia started a special military operation against Ukraine, Western countries have imposed harsh sanctions in an attempt to display solidarity with Ukraine, causing a cultural sensitivity against Russian culture abroad.
According to senior White House official, India's UN position on the Ukraine issue has been unsatisfactory, but unsurprising given the country's historical ties with Russia. On the other hand, India has forged close connections with the United States in recent years, and it is an important member of the Quad grouping aimed at countering China. However, it still has a long victory with Moscow, which continues to be a substantial provider of defense equipment. Following a formal request from the Ukrainian government, Britain said on Saturday that it will provide £2 million in vital food supplies for parts of Ukraine besieged cities by Russian soldiers. About 25 truckloads of dried and canned food and water will be delivered by road and rail from warehouses in Poland and Slovakia to Ukrainian towns. The Russian military's Eastern District has said that military drills involving more than 3,000 personnel were conducted on the Kuril Islands in the northeastern Pacific. The sites of the drills apparently included 4 Russian-held islets disputed with Japan, part of the Kuril Island because they host major military facilities. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said China and India should work together to promote peace and stability around the world, while the Indian Foreign Minister Subrahmanyam Jaishankar said Friday ties with Beijing could not be normal until Chinese troops pulled back from each other on the disputed border. Both nations have deployed thousands of troops on the high-altitude border since hand-to-hand flights killed 20 Indian and 4 Chinese soldiers in June 2020.
If you ask me, is our relationship normal today? My answer to you is no, it is not. And it cannot be normal if the situation in the border areas is abnormal. And surely the presence of a large number of troops there in contravention of agreements is abnormality.
The Russian military's Eastern District has said that military drills involving more than 3,000 personnel were conducted on the Kuril Islands in the northeastern Pacific. The sites of the drills apparently included 4 Russian-held islets departed with Japan part of the Kuril Islands because they lost major military facilities.
As two sovereign and independent countries, China and the Solomon Islands can carry out normal law enforcement and security cooperation on the basis of equal treatment and mutual benefit. This cooperation is in accordance with international law and common international practice, and is conducive to maintaining social order in the Solomon Islands, promoting regional peace and stability, and advancing China's common interests, Solomon Islands and other countries in the region. Some Australian politicians have made absurd remarks about the so-called Chinese coercion and deliberately created tension, which does not and is neither responsible nor conducive to the stability and development of the region.
A press release from the Presidency of the Republic of Algeria stated that Algeria strongly condemns the terrorist attack which targeted Saudi Arabia Kingdom on Saturday. The communique states that Algeria expresses its full support with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The United States calls for tougher international sanctions against North Korea at the United Nations Security Council, accusing Pyongyang of increasingly dangerous provocations after conducting the test fire of the largest intercontinental ballistic missile in its history.
And because of DPRK's increasingly dangerous provocations, the United States will be introducing a Chapter 7 Security Council resolution to update and strengthen the sanctions regime.
My delegation also expresses its support towards the U.S. initiative to pursue a new resolution in response to the DPRK's ICBM launch, and calls on other members of the Council to join in this effort.
West African leaders meet again in Accra to discuss the political situation in Mali a week after a failed agreement with the transitory government of Mali on a timetable for the return of civilians to power and the lifting of sanctions. The countdown is on the 94th Annual Academy Awards. Hollywood's biggest night is going down Sunday. The 94th Academy Awards ceremony, presented by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, will honor the best films released between March the 1st and December 31st, 2021, and is scheduled to take place at the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood. Regional Hall, Amy Schumer and Wanda Skies will host the ceremony, a first in 2022. And before we wrap up, here is a reminder of our top stories. Moscow signaled it was scaling back its ambitions in Ukraine to focus on territory claimed by Russian-backed separatists as Ukrainian forces went on the offensive. Mariupol City Council said about 300 people are believed to have died after shelling on a theater in the city 9 days ago. And finally, US President Joe Biden is in Warsaw on Saturday for meetings with Polish and Ukrainian government officials, followed by an address underlining the global response to Russia's operation in Ukraine. Well, that's it for me and the rest of the English news team. Thank you for keeping it here on All 24 News. Bye for now.